Welcome to HortTube, where we talk all things gardening. My name is Jim Putnam, and this is a Davidson Hardy Ligustrum. This is Davidson Hardy Ligustrum, a very fast-growing evergreen shrub typically used as a border plant. Davidson Hardy can actually reach over 20 feet in height and probably 8 to 12 feet in width, but can be kept much smaller than that. Japanese Ligustrum like Davidson Hardy are best in zone 7 to 11. In zone 7A, they can get some serious winter burn on them if they're just completely out in open space where the north wind is hitting them. Davidson Hardy is going to be extremely fast growing after it's rooted in the ground. We can probably get 2 feet of growth out of these in a single season. Japanese Ligustrum like Davidson Hardy can grow in sun or shade. They tend to be on the thin side the more shade you put them in. If you want a very full screening plant and you have a shady space, this probably is not the best choice. I think you need to give these at least a half a day sun, and then they'll absolutely not mind being in full sun all day long. Davidson Hardy really only has one use, and that's a screening plant or a border plant between you and a neighbor. There's really no other use for it. You'll see them sometimes planted on foundations on new homes. I think the contractor obviously got those for cheap. You're going to be pruning those the rest of your life if you don't get them moved pretty quickly before they anchor themselves in. But this thing makes an absolutely fantastic screening plant. This is what is behind me in all of these videos. A couple of these are Davidson Hardy, and a couple of them are recurve ligustrum, but they make absolutely fantastic hedges and great sound barriers. So really the main highlight to Davidson Hardy is that it grows very quickly and makes a fantastic border between you and a neighbor. It also blooms in the spring, and it does have a fragrant flower. I'm not that fond of the fragrance of it, but it is fragrant. And then it'll develop a berry in the fall and winter that turns kind of a purple color. I've included videos for planting shrubs in the description of this video. You would have a very hard time killing these ligustrum. As long as you don't plant this thing too deep or just drown it, I don't think you'd have any problem with it. They're really, really rugged. For the first year your ligustrum's in the ground, you're definitely gonna wanna keep an eye on watering it. Go and check it periodically, stick your finger down in the ground a couple inches. If it needs water, drown the entire space around it. They will lose interior leaves, and in fact this one's got a few yellow ones in here now. If they become dry, they'll thin out in the middle pretty quickly. And then unfortunately, if it happens very severely, you got to go and cut the top of it to regenerate that interior foliage. So it's best just to not let it happen. If I was going to put these on a border, especially like I have behind me, you can run a drip hose through it and occasionally hook your hose up to it. This plant, I would put it in the extreme drought tolerant category, but in order to keep it as a fresh, full to the base screening plant, I think it does need periodic watering. While you're trying to establish your ligustrum as a screening plant, I'd fertilize these twice. I'd fertilize them in the spring and fertilize them again in the summer. The summer fertilizing will put on some late growth some of it'll probably get burned, but it won't really matter. It'll recover from that so quickly in the spring. But you can really push these and get them up to 6 or 8 feet tall very, very quickly. Ligustrum can be pruned anytime you want to. They do bloom in the spring and berry in the fall. The ones behind me are still loaded in berries in February. So you're going to lose some of that the years you prune them. So if you need to prune it, I would really cut the thing down hard so that you don't have to do it but once every few years. There really aren't any insect or disease problems on these Japanese ligustrum. Really very few things chew on them. You probably could get root rot if you put them in a space that stayed wet all the time. Deer tend to avoid these broadleaf ligustrum. They'll eat the Chinese ligustrum like the privets to the ground, but tend to leave these alone. So what are you waiting for? Even you can grow the super fast growing, fantastic screening plant, Davidson Hardy Ligustrum. Thank you for watching my video, and if it was helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for future videos. Also comment below with any questions you have about ligustrum. Thanks again.